Good morning. It's Monday morning and it's July 31st. And as I got up this morning and thought that tomorrow's August, I thought, oh, how sad, because that means that the summer is probably about 2/3 of the way gone. And that means that my garden is about 2/3 of the way done. And I'm not ready for that. It took us so long to get started this spring that I just want summer to keep going until probably November 1st. And I know that's a dream. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about squash bugs. My sister-in-law on Saturday said that her entire squash situation is gone because she's had squash bugs so bad, and that's very unusual for her place. And I thought about that for a second because I've only killed 2 squash bugs this season, and I've only had to remove a half dozen seeds or half dozen eggs. And that's very unusual for me because I'm usually out here looking for squash bug eggs and trying to keep my garden from getting infested by them. And I thought, what is the difference of what I'm doing this year as opposed to other years? So I'm going to show you what that is. So I have probably shown you these squash plants, I don't know, 3 or 4 times this season when we talked about different things that we were doing with them. But the only thing that I can say is the difference on these squash this year as opposed to previous years is that I'm growing them vertically instead of horizontally. And I think that is why the squash bugs don't like them. Usually squash bugs will hang out around the base of the plant after it gets dark and then come out at night or come out early in the morning. And I just don't think there's too many places for them to hide. Now I do have a leaf here that's dying, but if you'll notice, it's got some damage down here, and then I think that's why it's dying, not because of a squash bug. But I just don't have them this year, and it's great. I'm so happy about that. The same thing with the Cocozella. You can see them over there that really they're growing up really high and tall up those stakes, and I just don't have squash bugs. And the same thing with these Concerta. Look at how big these plants are and how beautiful they are, and they're just doing so well. But there's no squash bugs and there's no leaves that are dead. And that makes me so happy. So all I can tell you is that this year with my squash plants, I have planted them the same way I always do. I have fertilized them the same way I always do. And the only difference I'm doing is I'm growing them vertically as opposed to horizontally. And the benefits I see to doing that is, number one, you can get more plants in a smaller area because they grow up those poles instead of running all over your garden. Number two, I think my production is better. And number three, apparently I don't have squash bugs, and that is worth growing them vertically. I know it takes a little more time because you've got to come out every week and you've got to tie them up. You can't just let them run wild around the ground. But I think it's a winner, guys. I think it's what I'll do next year. And I'm pretty excited. This is a great thing. I hope your garden's growing. I hope you don't have squash bugs. And I hope that you have zucchini on your plate every night. I'll talk to you later.